Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back with a deadline stream. We don't do this every week, but when it's on a Friday night, we love to do a deadline. And Dean, this is the first time I can remember in a very long time where we've had a blank and a double game week. So it's a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, that is true. It's there's a lot at stake this week, especially for stragglers like me that have been falling. Obviously been contemplating this Salah punt. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, it does feel like a big game week. Tonight there's a game. That's why we're doing this early stream. Fulham v Wolves. I am heading there in like 50 minutes or so. So excuse me, everyone, if I do head off 5 minutes before the end. But yeah, I've got a couple of beers to have to settle the nerves because we're chasing the Champions League spot. If we win 16-0 tonight, we are in the top four.
Love that. Guys in the chat, good to see so many of you. Loads of our regulars as well. Tiffany and FPL Soccer Crazy and Lewis is with us. Mads is there. Frederick. Hello. Yeah, Frederick says, what's up? Finally back in the UK to catch the live stream. Mark is with us as well. Guys, we will be revealing our teams later, but Dean is looking at using a chip this week, so stay tuned for that. We're both looking at taking hits. It's going to be, we've got some major surgery to our teams. We've also got Against the Obvious coming up. That's always a load of fun. And of course, we'll be looking at Fresh Off the Press and some of those key fixtures because, of course, we had more announcements this week. But as always, today's stream is about you guys. So questions in the chat at any point, we'll be answering them when we can. I completely understand there's some massive dilemmas this week. Dean, the biggest one for many is captaincy. Without talking chips, let's just go standard captain. Many own Saka and many will own Salah, right? So it's kind of battle of the two penalty takers for their respective teams, an Arsenal or a Liverpool player. Do you have a preference there? Like if you own Saka and Salah, where would you be going?
Probably Saka. I think I'd go Saka. I think you've got more reliability there. Their fixtures are two good fixtures, to be honest. Like Leicester and Everton, they're two good fixtures for Saka. Arsenal with so much at stake here. Obviously, the extra game. This is the moment when that game in hand gets played against a team that have been struggling too. Saka is a difference maker. There's obviously been the news too about Saka about to pen this new contract, which is a really significant moment. Very, very often, when there is a story like this and it's such big news, the player bangs that week. Like I noticed it when I was working in newspapers. You'll be sent to an announcement. Actually, it wasn't even sent to an announcement. Anytime a player was put up for a presser, or you were sent to like a new contract announcement or whatever it was, so often that player would then produce that weekend, like more often than you would even expect. So yeah, Chat Sport says contract bounce. Honestly,
I'm just typing that on Twitter as we speak, going new contract bounce because it's a thing, isn't it?
It is. And honestly,
new manager bounce
for a player like this. Yeah, I do expect something here. I do expect him to deliver. Salah is a bit more of a punt. We're basically going off old times and hoping for the best with that one. So if I had both, I would go Saka.
I have got both, and at the moment I'm going Salah, but I hadn't thought of the new contract bounce, mate. And honestly, when I wrote a book on FPL years before I was in like the FPL community on Twitter and stuff, and I was writing a chapter on like all the marginal gains you can get, one of the things I looked into at the time was new contract bounce for managers and how you see an increase in points and therefore better performance. So buy assets from a team like Everton because Sean Dyche has just taken the job and we saw them beat Arsenal in his first game, but also as new player contract bounce. And I remember at the time, I think it was Sterling had maybe just been given a new contract or maybe it was Sterling getting a move from Liverpool to City, whatever it was, absolutely banged, went and got like a hat trick. And literally like a week after that, like it was back down again. And it was not just with Sterling. There was a fair few examples of it happening where they just peak the week off the back of that announcement.
Yeah, exactly that. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know what it is, but I find it hard to believe that it is a complete coincidence. I think that when you're a high-profile player, you want to enjoy your moments in the spotlight. Someone made the point a minute ago. Mickey said Salah didn't get a new contract bounce. No, but also Salah signed his contract out of season, so
Yeah.
it wasn't during the season. It wasn't in a moment when his performances were being tracked. It was like start of July, I think. Salah penned his new deal, and then you had to build up to the season from there. So I find that's different. And also, Salah couldn't have really got any higher than where he was in that moment. It was, the bounce itself was that he even put pen to paper. No, I almost wasn't expecting it at that point. So yeah, I think there is sometimes a difference, but yeah, Saka, I'd say, will be raring to go for this double game week.
My reason for Salah is only based on fixtures because I do think Saka's the better player at the moment if we're going off form. It's purely I prefer slightly Liverpool's fixtures. So I guess that's one reason. And then the second reason why I'm on Salah is when Liverpool do score a goal, let's just say you're checking a video printer or you're checking your phone, you get an alert, Liverpool scored. If I check my phone, I reckon I've got a 50% chance. I reckon 5 in every 10 times I check my phone when Liverpool scored, I can expect, and I do see the word Salah for the goal or the assist. When Arsenal score, I probably reckon with Saka, I'd be expecting 25-30% involvement.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's a better spread of points at Arsenal, but you could also argue Arsenal score more goals, so Saka's increases there.
Sure.
But maybe that plays part of it. But I do like both of their fixtures, but I do prefer Salah's just. And I think the defenses Salah plays, I saw a stat this morning from our friend of the show, Big Man Backer, saying something to do with down the left-hand side for the 4 teams that concern Saka and Salah. They both play on the right. Down the left-hand side, the 2 teams Saka plays concede about a third of their chances down that side. The 2 teams Salah plays concede like 70% of their chances down that side. So again, we know there's vulnerabilities in that's how good a statistician Big Man Backer is.
Yeah,
but he's really looked into that. So yeah, he thinks Salah for that reason.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Do you think this means that everyone's jumping off Haaland this week? Maybe Haaland's a differential to stick with him for Bournemouth and hope that he actually plays?
I reckon he's going to be a massive differential for captaincy. And we've always joked, haven't we, Dean, about triple captainship, using it on a single game week player, because you nearly used it for his performance against Wolves, I think, where he went and got a 61-minute hat-trick.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, so there's been a few single game weeks. I mean, at the moment, especially on the back of in the Champions League at midweek, it was like Haaland was invisible to the rest of his team. They ignored his runs. They acted like he wasn't there. He's supposed to be the focal point of the team.
Yeah.
And he wasn't given any service at all. He had one chance in the game, which he didn't make the most of. He's not in a good moment, Haaland, but typically, I'm not sure that matters. He doesn't tend to go on long runs without a goal. And typically will turn up where if you're not expecting him to, he will. So on the back of obviously that miss against Nottingham Forest too, which is pretty high profile, it might be that Haaland's a good shout. I guess the only question I'd have about Haaland is what's Pep doing with his team this week? He's gone into the Leipzig game. He didn't make any subs for the whole game. Now, is that an indication that was always the plan, or is that,
Does he not trust the bench? Does he not trust Foden at the moment? Because Foden's on the bench there,
Well, Foden and Alvarez. There wasn't a strong bench. There was a few kids in there, but Alvarez and Foden are both there. And I'm very surprised he didn't turn to one or both in that game.
Yeah, it shows how out of favour Foden is at the moment. And I think he said post-match about Foden getting opportunities and it's him or Mahrez. The way Pep is speaking at the moment, and I think his choices show us this, is that Grealish on the left-hand side is absolutely a lock now. He's playing every game. Probably going to be rested this time out. But Foden was competing for both spots, left or right, and arguably in the attacking mid slots too. Although Pep's always been reluctant to play him there. But anywhere in that front 3, because obviously with Haaland not there, he was the number 9 a lot of the time. But now it looks like he's only competing. He's never competing for the 9 because of Haaland. He's never competing for the left because of Grealish. He's got fewer routes to that team now. But I'm just really surprised how out of love Pep is with him. And he's stubborn with his choices. I just hope some of those that played in midweek, for example, Ake,
Yeah.
who many have got, myself included, still play this weekend, because there could be rotation in that back line, because I know Laporte wasn't well in the week, but you still saw a fair few defenders on the bench who could very easily come in and play against Bournemouth. Picking that back line is even more difficult than picking the front line, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. Let me just run through a few comments before we move on, though. Ant says he's team Salah. He's stuck 2 footballs next to that. I'm not sure if that means that he thinks Salah's going to bag 2. Tony says, except for Aubameyang, he didn't have a contract bounce. No, he didn't. James says he's team Kane and captain Salah. Very interesting take there. Also says genuinely Haaland could not be a captain choice in 25, 26 and 27. It's a good point. Like for some people, maybe even us, he won't be.
Yeah, they don't have the doubles like the other teams. So
Yeah.
I genuinely think when there's a double game week, I'd be very surprised this season if we're on a double game week and Haaland doesn't have a double and I actually ever captain Haaland. I think I'll always go for the doubler.
Yeah, I think so too. Mikel says, look, Foden should go in the summer. Pep doesn't do him right. Look, Pep's been so patient with Foden. He's played him really well. He's allowed him to integrate with his team, then let him like burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
He's loved him typically as a player. Unless a big offer comes in for him and Foden really wants to go, I still don't see him leaving. Like that would be a massive gamble to let Phil Foden leave. Haven't heard too much talk about it either. This is someone that's homegrown at Man City, like a local lad. You're not going to get many of those in the next 10 years that actually come up through the ranks at Man City, become an England international, one of the best players in the world in their position. There's obviously something going on here that Pep doesn't like or trust, but it's going to have to be pretty major, the fallout from it, to actually get rid of him, I would imagine.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Hayley, stay tuned for Triple Captain chat. We'll be looking at Dean's team very, very shortly. Cameron asked about differential for a captaincy choice. I do think captaincy is really difficult this week, but I do think there are some very good options, both at Arsenal and Liverpool, which could be seen as differential. Like you could argue Trent is a sensible option still. Like I know Liverpool have been rubbish at the back, but there's good chance that they're playing Palace and Wolves, 2 of the most goal-shy teams in the league. You could look at Arsenal midfielders and go, I don't know, could you go Odegaard? Could you go Nketiah? There are options for differential captains. When looking at Liverpool players, if I was to rank them, I would say Salah's clear and obviously your number 1. Not just for captaincy, but transfer targets. I would put Trent at number 2 and Darwin at 3, and then probably Robbo at 4. So you've got 4 really good options still there at Liverpool.
Yeah. Are you put off at all by the Real Madrid game or not?
Oh, if you're buying an attacker, you can't be, because they still look good in attack versus Real Madrid. They still scored a couple of goals. And all season, Liverpool's attacking numbers have been good. And when we evaluate a team, we should always differentiate between attack and defence. Like to say a team's not doing well, it's like Liverpool aren't doing well, but their attack still is. Chelsea aren't doing well, but their defence has still been pretty good, which is why we've got Kepa. So we should always split it. But you would say, don't go anywhere near Liverpool defence. Yet here we are, myself included, buying a Liverpool defender this week. But I do think that's very much a case of you see some Liverpool defenders, Trent and Robbo, as attackers because they have great attacking threat, more than most fullbacks in the league, more than pretty much any fullback in the league. Trippier might have something to say about that. Same as Reece. But other than that, you look at the clean sheet threat and go, okay, this is a 1 week where Liverpool should be keeping cleans, because Palace pretty average in front of goal, although they are at Selhurst Park. But then the Wolves fixture at Anfield, I really think that's a clean sheet for Liverpool. So I think it's still a sensible option.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout at all. Yeah, we're going to talk about actually Liverpool a little bit in Fresh Off the Press, so we could probably move on to that now.
Yeah, nice one. Let's move on to Fresh Off the Press.
Yeah, so with Liverpool, the only thing really to address in the Fresh Off the Press section is that Joe Gomez, who didn't have a good night against Real Madrid, he did limp off in the game too, picked up a knock. Looks like Matip will be brought back into that back line. Now, look, Liverpool have had so many different lineups at the back this season. They've been so consistently suffering with injuries that it has really had an impact on how many goals they've conceded, basically. There's been no regularity to it, and it's been a huge part of the problem. Now, to have Matip back, I'm not saying that Matip has been in great form himself. Maybe it helps a bit, with your defensive picks for this Liverpool team. Maybe it helps you a little bit on the Trent pick, knowing he's got Matip alongside him rather than Joe Gomez, who's just basically had a mare against Real Madrid. So that's probably one thing to contemplate. If you are going on Liverpool, I'm not saying pick Matip or anything like that. But if you're talking about Robertson or Trent as a pick, then bear in mind that Joe Gomez won't be there. That probably is going to help you. So that was one to just quickly look at there. What was I going to look at next? Chelsea. Just to look at basically where we are with the state of that team right now. They've got, obviously, they've had loads of problems to contend with throughout the season. They've got Tottenham coming up. Last week, I mean, Graham Potter made that decision to leave James, Thiago Silva, Havertz, Ziyech, all out the team, and
Sterling,
Sterling, managing their minutes. They're all back in contention this week. So that's to contemplate. Cesar Azpilicueta not in the frame because of his head injury. So Reece James is definitely playing in this game. We're obviously all going to always monitor Reece James's potential in terms of minutes. Now, Chelsea do have a nice run of games coming up. They've got Leeds, Leicester, Aston Villa, Everton. 3 of those are home games coming up. Now, obviously, there might be more Champions League games to come too on the back of it. So, again, Reece James might have to be managed. If you were thinking of getting James, then just bear in mind it's not a complete gamble here because he has a nice run of games and you are going to have something that most people won't have this week. He will play. Potter out, says CFC's Blues. It's not happening, mate. You're going to have to get your head around the fact that Graham Potter is going to be your manager for a while longer unless things get absolutely out of control. Then this board are just not going to budge. They're going to be stubborn with this and they're going to stick with him.
I'd love Poch.
Yeah, I don't think Poch is even...
He doesn't want it, apparently, does he?
No, I mean, I'd heard that, I think, before that story came out, that they had looked at it and he wouldn't be interested, so it was off
What's
the
he
table.
waiting for? What does Poch
Tottenham.
want?
He'll be at Tottenham. I think
Really?
he'll be at Tottenham. Yeah, I think so. They got a decision to make. It sounds to me that it's more likely than not that we might see him as Tottenham manager in the summer. Can't guarantee that Conte's going, but Poch is lingering there.
Will that keep Kane happy as well, do you think?
I mean, it
Kane
would
always
certainly
had a
do
good
no
relationship
harm
with him, didn't he?
Yeah, there's no harm to be done there. Kane and Pochettino have a very good relationship. I think Kane probably leaning towards staying anyway right now, but having Pochettino as his manager wouldn't hurt. There was some rumours actually that Conte might go soon. Obviously, he's having to miss games at the moment. He's been rushed back too soon from his surgery. And there was a few whispers at the start of this week that Conte and Spurs might even end up parting ways on amicable terms. I checked it out with 2 people who are pretty in the know at Spurs, and they said it's just not really realistic right now. I mean, for Conte and Tottenham to part ways in this moment, they're in 2 fronts. They're fighting for trophies. I mean, whether they really are or not in the Champions League, we'll wait and see. Probably not. But in the FA Cup, they think they've got a reasonable chance there of a trophy. And so Conte is not going to amicably walk away from that opportunity. Especially as they're still fighting in the top 4. So, yeah, there's that to bear in mind. I think we should look at the Southampton Leeds game because there's going to be some interesting selections here. Javi Gracia has got his visa now. He will be able to pick the team and to manage the team for this game. I think that's hugely significant. I think it means that Nonto should probably be on our radar. I think.
New manager bounce. Do you think
new manager bounce?
Do you rate him, Dean? Will we see some good football there? Do you think from Leeds?
I was looking at what his reaction was when he took over at Watford and what he did there. At Watford, when he went in there, I know it's a few years ago now, but he took over a team that were in a horrendous run of form. I think over 10 games, they maybe had won 1. He went in there, won 3 of the first 5. He completely changed the vibe of the dressing room. Started managing players one-on-one, way better than they'd been managed in the weeks leading up to that moment. He changed the whole environment. He changed the tactics. And typically, he'll play 2 up front, and one player will play just off the main man. So Bamford will be the top one, And it'll be, I imagine, Nonto or Rutter that plays just off him. And Rutter hasn't had a start yet. Be bold to give him a start in his first game. Maybe he will. You'd imagine it'll be Nonto that gets that spot. He's Leeds' best player at the moment and might be one to look out for there. But Southampton too, Sellers is given this job till the end of the season.
True.
People love him. Players love him. They're really impressed by what he's coming up with tactically. I think they probably regret overlooking this guy in the first place and not giving him the job instead of Nathan Jones a couple of months back. Mark said he's just sold Nonto to Darwin. Don't worry, that's fine, Mark. You're all right. Like on Darwin, you're fine. But yeah, this is a really, really big match. It's probably the biggest match of the weekend. Southampton going to Leeds. So it's one we all have to keep an eye on because it's gonna really impact the form of some players that are going to be interesting picks between now and the end of the season. Matthew says, let's hope Leeds knock Fulham out of the cup, Dean.
Yes.
Just as I have.
That is massive. Leeds versus Fulham is the biggest FA Cup game I can remember involving two teams that no one usually cares about, with all respect.
Yeah.
But everyone cares. Everyone cares because if Fulham do win and Liverpool don't have a fixture in game week 28, the world and their dog are going to be free hitting in that blank game week 28. Yet if Fulham lose and Leeds win, and therefore therefore Liverpool versus Fulham goes ahead in 28, not only do we all get an Andreas Pereira or a Mitrovic or that one Fulham player we've probably got, we also get our double or maybe even our triple Liverpool. And it's huge. That goes from you might go from having 7 men in game week 28 to if that fixture goes ahead, straight away you've got 11. So it's a massive, massive swing. And with 7, you might go, I need to free hit. Although I think you could probably get away with 7, just maybe, depending on the 7. So it's absolutely massive. And that game, I think, am I right in saying that's next week? I think it's next week. Soon, isn't it? So when does that take place? I'm pretty sure it's before game week 26.
No, I think it's later than that.
Is it? Fulham versus Leeds FA Cup. Let's have a quick look.
Oh, sorry. The FA Cup game is on Tuesday. Yeah.
Oh, it is on Tuesday.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant the league game. Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, before game week 26, at least we know. So to prep for 28, we've got the transfer for 26, the transfer for 27, the transfer for 28. So you've got 3 moves, and also you've got then loads of time to debate your chip strategy.
Got you. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, so it's Tuesday night, the Fulham Leeds game, and yeah, I mean, I'm a bit disappointed that they've actually made this managerial change because actually the other thing to mention is that Grazia, when he went into Watford, ended up taking that team who were in a turmoil, actually ended up taking to an FA Cup final. They got battered.
Did he really?
They played Man City, remember? They got battered in the cup final, but he did actually end up taking them to an FA Cup final. So, like, he's almost in an identical situation to the one he ended up going into at Watford. So he'll probably manage it in the same way. So it's a really interesting one. And from a Fulham point of view, like, I'm a bit disappointed because I thought this was going to be a great opportunity for us to have a cup run. And like I mentioned last time, there's still this issue with Fulham fans looking to boycott that game over ticket prices. There's the fact that Leeds have got a new manager and a bounce back now. A cup competition could give them lift off that helps their league form. So that there's all that to take into account. As we get towards that game, there was one other thing I was going to mention. Oh, it was Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne potentially probably available for this weekend.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay, yeah, because a lot saw he was ill and just went sell, but they were probably selling anyway because of Salah, I myself. But that's interesting if he does play and sting you.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It was a bit of a no-brainer in the end to bring Salah in for De Bruyne. I'm sure most people have done it already. But Pep has said today that of the players that are doubts, Kevin De Bruyne is the one that might well be able to play in that game against Bournemouth. So be prepared, everyone, to get absolutely stung as De Bruyne as a worldie and Salah blanks.
Does that mean from the players that were unavailable in the week, he thinks De Bruyne is most likely? So perhaps that we can assume from that Laporte is still out, which would be good.
Yeah, he said Laporte probably won't play. Yeah.
Good.
He said, he said Laporte
that's great for
Ake
owners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Mate, I'm loving the Javi Gracia lines about winning 3 of his first 5 games at Watford, who were terrible when he took over.
Yeah.
And then also getting Watford to a cup final. I'm just thinking, as a Bamford owner and someone that wants Leeds to beat Fulham in the FA Cup, this is all playing out quite nicely.
Yeah, I mean, that you having Bamford might be about to pay off, mate. I know you've been very patiently sticking by him, and I think Gracia will love him. So this could be his time.
Okay, well, one of my big transfer dilemmas this week involves Bamford. So I think I may have heard enough to actually keep him, because I am looking at maybe an extra -4 for Darwin. But
okay.
I really didn't want to make that move, and I wanted to stay with Bamford. And what you've said, I think, means I'm gonna stick.
Yeah.
But we'll show our teams in like literally 10 minutes time. But before we do, let's check out the transfer planner from Ben Crellin. I appreciate many of you would have seen this, but my biggest advice when talking chip strategy is literally to stare at this. And if you need to go into a quiet room and stare at this for an hour, stare at this for an hour. Honestly, I've spent hours staring at this list and planning my team accordingly. The blanks and doubles now we know way more about. Game week 29 doubles, you can see there in yellow in the middle. They were all announced on Tuesday. Now, what we still don't know is those blanks in 28, but we will know those blanks in 28 midweek next week. So by the time we do Friday's show next week, we will have a clear route. Not only will we know about the 28 blanks, but we'll have a really good indication who blanks in that game week 32 as well, because the 32 game week is the FA Cup semi-finals. So we'll be able to work out the bookies odds based on the lineup of the quarterfinals, and we'll also know the teams that didn't actually make it to the quarterfinals. So the 32 blanks, there will be fewer. So it's really interesting. The chip strategy conversation, as always, is there. In terms of, I think for me at the moment, and I can only talk for me, and it should be completely team dependent. I've got two strategies, 2 options. They both actually include dead ending my team in 32 and wildcarding in 33. Because 33 is a normal week, and then you can set yourself up for the double in 34 where you can bench boost. So at the moment, I'm wildcard 33, bench boost 34. There are others looking at wildcarding in 26 or 7, and that's also fine. But my team, I don't think, needs that just yet. But then it gives me the question mark over when do I free hit? If the Liverpool fixture against Fulham goes ahead in game week 28, I probably won't free hit then. I won't need to. I definitely won't free hit then. And I might free hit in 29. Although 29, my team will look all right. So I might not need to free hit in 29, and then I just save it and I free hit one of the last weeks of the season. There'll be another double, I think, in 37. The other option is Liverpool don't play in 28. Fulham beat Leeds in the FA Cup, which is more likely than unlikely if you go off the bookies odds, 60% likely. And if Fulham were to win that football match, I think I might be forced into a free hit 28. And for weeks, I've been saying free hit 29. But the way those doubles have fallen, my team will already have what I hope really good doublers. Like I'm looking at stacking up on Brighton players, for example, because of 27. And the beauty of free hitting in 28 is in 27, you can focus on your Brighton and your Brentford players. So, for example, by 27, I want triple Brighton in my team. I've already got one. And I want Tony in my team. Now, none of those 4 players play in 28, and that doesn't matter because I'll free hit in 28. And then come 29, I think the best double game week is Brighton's. They play Brentford and Bournemouth. I'll have 3 Brighton yet again. So I think that's what I'm thinking I'll end up doing. Now, if Liverpool do get the fixture, there's no need to worry about game week 28 because I'll have 10 or 11 players. But if they don't, that's where I think I'll fall.
Yeah, that's pretty mad. Nice one. He said, Mark says, if all goes to plan, I'll have 13 doublers in 29 with no hits, bench boost.
Yes.
I mean, yes, that's very nice, mate. That is absolutely spot on there. If that works out for you, yeah, it's really interesting that the way that this is opening up. There's so much there. Like, you're better at reading spreadsheets than me. This is not something I've ever had to get my head around, and I think CH just said this is giving me a headache. Like that's
it's a lot of colours.
Yeah, this is why I don't have a proper job. I've never had to look at spreadsheets. This is why I just write about football. I don't have to deal with this kind of stuff in my life. And now it's being thrown at me every week, and I'm having to deal with my issues of spreadsheets. But Yeah, this is mad. Like, there's so much there to take in and so much planning, and it goes totally against my off the cuff team picking.
If you're, I think a lot of this combination comes down to how much you really like Brighton and Brentford, because they're the two most interesting teams because they double in 27 when very few teams do. And as always, when we get a double game like this week, we're all going, oh, we need to bring in Liverpool players because they're the best team that double. We've already got Arsenal. In 27, we're going to be faced with exactly the same question. Even for those that play week by week, they'll look at it and go, Brighton, Brentford, Crystal Palace and Southampton have a double game week. My transfers have to go towards one of those teams. And everyone's answer is going to be Tony or Brighton players. Matoma, Estupiñán, McAllister, March. So you look at those 5 players, they're going to get a lot of love. Now, if you're giving a lot of love to Brighton and Brentford in 27, you're also going to have them for 29 because they have a really good double in 29, Brighton especially. Therefore, you might need to neglect a week. And if you're neglecting a week, it will be 28. And therefore, that might make sense to be your free hit. Now, the international break, I think, does fall before game week 29. So again, you're going into that double game week and there'll be some injuries. But I don't worry too much about that. We still get manager press conferences. But yeah, that's where we're at. So if you're unsure about chip strategy, firstly, you don't need to make a decision now. Wait till the FA Cup. And then we know about 28 fixtures. But secondly, think about how much you want to give to Brighton and Brentford in 27, because that might shape what you do in 29. But if we look at those 29 doubles, Dean, I don't know what you think. Who is the best doubles and who do we want in our teams? Because I look at the 29 doubles and look at teams like, look, I don't want West Ham players long term, but West Ham plays Southampton and Newcastle at home. That could be a great, if you're on a free hit, Jarrah Bowen for a 1 week punt. Or Man United, we're all selling our United players. They have Newcastle and Brentford. We'll probably want triple United then. So Leicester, they play Palace and Villa. We'll all want Maddison. So there are a few players that we perhaps can't get to unless we free hit in 29, like Bowen and Maddison and Bruno.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Leicester fixtures are jumping out as me as probably the best 2 there, but Leicester, they can be a bit flaky, so it's hard to put anyone in your trust really beyond James Maddison. I know people want to be convinced by like Kelechi or Harvey Barnes, but ultimately there's not really any way of doing that, is there? You're just going on vibes rather than any real patterns that you'd be following. So yeah, there's a lot to take in there. I can't get beyond this game week, I'm afraid. I need to get through this game week in healthy order. I've got a fight back to make. And I need this team selection and this chip gamble to pay off so that I'm back in the conversation.
Yeah. Guys, we'll keep you posted on these sorts of spreadsheets and our chip strategy. And next week, after when we know those game week 28 fixtures off the back of the FA Cup, so next Friday's stream, we'll have another little deep dive. So stay tuned. And if you like what you're watching so far, please do hit that like button, because loads of you are watching today, but only 47 of you have hit that like button. And obviously, I'm hoping many already do. But if you don't already subscribe, please subscribe and hit that notification bell when you do. But we've answered questions as we go. We want to keep answering questions. So feel free to put them in the chat, and all the best ones that affect the masses, we will get to. We're going to be showing our teams very soon. We've got against the obvious 2. In fact, Dean, I think it's probably about time we do show our teams. So let's move on and show our teams next.
Right, Alton Rifles. Let's see where we are at. Have taken a 4-point hit here, and actually with the 3rd transfer, I've gone Solly March, basically with
nice
in mind. So yeah, in order to get in Salah because of his little price ride, I had to make a couple of little switch arounds.
Are you preparing for weeks ahead with Solly March and his doubles, Dean? You've been looking at some
My head, mate,
spreadsheets.
as I was making my changes, I was like, "Oh, what was she saying about Solly March?" And so yeah, you got into my head, and there he is. So yeah, trying to get ready for the following game week, but ultimately it was to get Salah in. Felt very confident in this. I actually did it at the start of the Liverpool Real Madrid game. I did it at 1-0. By 2-0, I felt very, very proud of myself.
Goal
By
and an assist.
5-2, wasn't feeling quite so good. But whatever, we'll go with it. The big question, everyone: am I going to go triple captain on Salah? I have dropped, I think, 1,000,000 places in the last month. I think maybe 5 weeks, but week after week, I have had red arrow, red arrow, red arrow. And yeah, I feel like this is, emergency time. I need something to happen. Most people have used their triple captain at this point. Everyone took it that week on Haaland. So if I've brought Salah into my team, if I'm going to make him captain anyway, I might as well go for it, right? I might as well go the full hog and just hope that I can make up some ground here. I think it's a no-brainer, unless anybody here in the next few minutes can convince me that I'm being stupid.
When we look at that spreadsheet for Ben Crellin, it's full of double game weeks, but we don't know when we're using our bench boost and free hits. And there's a very good chance in like those big doubles, we want to use some of the other chips. Therefore, I think using triple captain now makes complete sense because we're getting a premium player like Salah who's got Palace and Wolves. It's there for you. And obviously Man City don't have the doubles in the next 5, 6, 7 weeks. Because if they did, you might go, I'm going to wait for Haaland. But knowing you've got places to catch up as well, bringing in Salah this game week to captain him, March comes in as someone that allows you to do that, bring in Salah, but also a great option moving forward. I think your transfers are really, really good.
Yeah, let's see what everyone's saying. Tony says, Dean, I gained 800k on rank when I triple captained Rashford for the last. That's what I'm looking for. That's the motivation I want, Tony. 800k would get me back to the sort of conversation I was in before. And that is the thing I'm hoping. Like, it literally probably take if Salah scored 2 goals, it would elevate me a lot.
Yeah, because he'll get bonus if he scores goals as well. Yeah, like, that's huge points.
So there's no. Oh, honestly, but can I trust him to score 2 goals?
Will he play 180 minutes, Dean? Because Klopp today spoke about rotation. Some of the guys are feeling tired. Now, the reason I'm captaining Salah is because I think from all the Liverpool assets, he's the one that definitely starts both and probably plays 90 in both. Yet, is there a concern that he wouldn't? And is there a concern over some of those other Liverpool forwards? Because a lot are asking questions about Darwin, and I want your take on his minutes too.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Liverpool's season now, how it's looking, and before that defeat to Real Madrid, you were thinking, there's a chance that Klopp's got to worry about that game. I mean, does it even matter anymore? They're 3 goals behind going to the Bernabeu. Nobody turns that around. I know Liverpool have got a great history, but Real Madrid throwing away 3 goals in a Champions League knockout game is basically unheard of.
At home.
At home. They always want that second leg at home, Real Madrid. And to go in there with a league like that, I just can't see them throwing it. So the league is now so important to Liverpool in terms of like pushing up those spots and making this season somewhat successful. I mean, it's not successful, obviously, but like not the mess it is right now. I think Salah will play almost every minute.
Yeah.
Darwin, I mean, it's less certain because of the players that you've got coming back now. I think Darwin will play less than Salah, but I still would have no problems bringing him in. I think that the role he's playing in that team at the moment, even I can't really criticize Darwin Núñez at the moment. Like, he's won me over a bit. I've seen a couple of videos on TikTok of people have taken of him like out and about. He seems like a really nice bloke. So that won me over a bit. And then watching his last couple of performances, I've really liked those as well. He's been more confident. He's been more sensible. Yeah, I like Núñez a bit more. But from all these comments that I'm getting in, I think I'm going to go Salah triple captain. I think I'm just going to go for it and try and save this season.
Let's do it. I saw someone in the chat. Was it Tiffany earlier who said she was asking whether or not she should do it? And it might have been Haley. But I think I'm with you there, mate. I think it's going to go well. I do think we'll get a bit of the way Tottenham are stalling. I think Klopp will think, especially if they go out the Champions League, Liverpool, that they can concentrate on the Premier League. And I think they'll think they can still get top 4. It's what they're playing for this season. It's all they've got.
And they can do it because there's no real consistency there. I mean, I joked at the start of the show that like Fulham are chasing a Champions League spot and like it won't happen. We won't make the top 4, but we are in the conversation to actually do that, which is mad. And Liverpool will be looking at that thinking, we can't finish lower than Fulham. We can't finish lower than Brighton and Brentford.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous to think that they could go from where they were to where they are now. So, yeah, they have to finish well. I can't totally disregard the 2 games that they had going into that Real Madrid match either. I think that they had started to turn a corner. I definitely had new confidence in them. And I think that could very quickly come back with these 2 fixtures. I don't think that everything is totally forgotten just because they fell apart against Real Madrid, who are literally rated the best team in the world right now because they won a trophy that says that they are exactly that. So these teams they're playing against haven't got like a Vinicius. They haven't got the same defenders and the same leadership that Real Madrid have got. So, Haley, you've convinced me. I'm going triple captain Salah.
It
Well done,
was
Haley.
Haley.
Well
It was
done.
Haley. I'm just reading the Klopp transcript from earlier. He does say, we're not sure if all of the boys could even play again after Madrid because of some knocks here and there. We're really not 100% clear. So we have to make changes, and we will make changes anyway. Right. So he was planning on making changes. There's going to be changes anyway. But it's not like you can come back after a long injury and it's just clicking again. We have the situation now with Bobby, Firmino, and Diogo Jota. You can see with Virgil as well. Now, Virgil did come back in. Playing centre-back coming back in is very different to playing in a sort of wide forward role where you're going to be doing more running. So then the question was asked about Diogo Jota and Bobby Firmino perhaps even starting. And he said it was hard for the newly fit again to break into the starting 11 based on how well the current front 3 are playing, which is weird because Liverpool are playing poorly. But like I said earlier, you have to differentiate the front and the back of this team, and he's happy with how those front 3 are playing. So it sounds like he thinks they're ready, but it's hard for them to break into based on the current front 3's form. He says there were times when Sadio, Mo and Bobby were very young. Maybe they played a lot of games, but even then we needed to make changes and they couldn't because they didn't have the depth. Now they've got the depth. It's good. The goals against Newcastle especially were really good team goals where they were playing together. That was helpful. But we have to make changes. We cannot change that. But each minute they can play together, all the boys, is obviously very helpful because that improves the understanding. You could see that with the goals. So that's really difficult because from one side, you're reading that going, oh, he's going to give Bobby and Jota quite a few minutes, but maybe not start. And then the other side of that is saying, the previous front 3 used to play loads together. They built up this chemistry and it really helped the team. And that's what he wants to do with these 3. So I do think we'll see Darwin probably start in both games and Hakpo possibly both. But I do think we'll see Darwin coming off at 60 in both of them as well.
Yeah, that's the problem with it. You just want him to at least get to that 60-minute mark. So it's a tough call. I do think that the 3 they've got available and they've been playing in Nunez, Gakpo and Salah is the 3 that he'll want to become his regular 3, especially while Luis Diaz is out. So I think he'll stick with this 3. You've got to find some rhythm and some regularity at some point in your season. Like the big problem with Liverpool is the midfield. Like they've been relying on an 18-year-old as their best performer in there. And you can't do that. He should be in and out of the team at the moment, not looked upon to produce man of the match performances every week so that they've got half a chance. So I wonder what they might do in the middle of the pitch as much as I might worry about any rotation up top.
It's great to see Nuclear Atoms Real Madrid fan with us in the chat today. Nuclear will be buzzing off that 5-2. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. This is obviously a deadline stream. We're only live for another 15 minutes, so stay with us. Don't go anywhere. And to have regulars like Nuclear Atoms, who I know watches a huge amount of YouTube, for him to be watching this stream right now is really, really cool. So thank you guys for the support. If you want to show your support even further, though, hit that subscribe button. We're conscious we've got loads of new viewers tonight. And we want you guys to be part of our journey on Mondays and Fridays. We do these regular streams, Dean and I. So twice a week, you can catch us, usually at 7 p.m. UK time. Keep your questions coming in. I'm going to show my team very quickly, and then we're going to get to some questions as well as against the obvious. So my team coming up on screen. I've spoken at length about my chip strategy. I'm not going to bore you all with that. This is my team as it stands. So the 2 transfers I've made, which were both free transfers, were Tarkowski in for Patterson and Salah in for KDB. I've got 2 more potential transfers, and I think I'll make one of them. In fact, I can almost guarantee I'll make one of them. I might make 2. So one of them would be Luke Shaw goes, and in for Luke Shaw comes Trent. At the moment, I've only got 10 men. So Solly March would leave my 11. and then Trent would come in. So is that a 4-point hit? You could argue it breaks even just from Trent's minute points. Like that's a very obvious 4-point hit for me to make. I don't really want to sell Luke Shaw, but I'm not selling Ake against Bournemouth. I can't. I think he'll start, and I think that's a 6-pointer. And I'm not selling Trippier. And I think I prefer Trippier long term to Shaw, and I've got more money tied up in Trippier. The other 4-point hit I could take, which would be a -8, is for Bamford out. Now, Bamford out to Darwin, I've got the exact funds. By the time I've bought in Trent, I've got the exact funds for Bamford out to Darwin. So in the chat, let me know. Do you think I should stick with Bamford, knowing what Dean's just told us about Javi Garcia, or should I take a 4-point hit for Darwin? Bearing in mind that third forward spot, or second forward spot, if Nketiah is number 3, I want to be Tony next week. Tony's got a good fixture. I think it's Fulham, and then it's a double game week. So it would only be a 1-week punt on Darwin unless they play in the FA Cup game week 28, and then I might sell Nketiah instead. But I think I'm veering towards Bamford. Abra says, no way Bamford get Darwin in. FPL Bigger says, take the hit for Darwin. Nick says, does Bamford play in game week 28? No, he doesn't, but that's not a concern for me because I'm more likely to free hit in 28. He does, however, have a good double of Arsenal, an okay double of Arsenal and Nottingham Forest in 29. Loads seem to think Darwin. More are saying Darwin than Bamford. I think I'm more likely to stay with Bamford.
Yeah. I think you can stay with Bamford because of the managerial change and the fixture. I think that you can stay with him and expect that you're fine with it. I really do. I know he's not like been prolific or anything like that, but something's got to change for Leeds. They need a catalyst. And if you're the manager coming into that team and you're looking for like what can change, is to get him scoring. So you find the right player to go alongside him that makes the most of getting him chances, getting him in the right positions.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Bamford has been known to change lead seasons before. CH says Bamford is a great differential, and that's how you have to look at it. You kind of hope for the best. A lot of people will be transferring in Darwin. He'll be reasonably high owned, I imagine. You've got Bamford there at 0.6%.
Yeah.
Against Southampton, worst team in the league up until last week,
Yeah.
at home for a game that has to be the springboard to saving their season under a new manager and a Leeds home crowd that are going to be bang up for it. Leeds aren't that bad. Leeds aren't a bad team. They've just been badly put together for the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So, under Marsh, there were still signs of life there. There were some good performances there. So I think that actually, like Leeds can come through that game. To be honest, probably be a draw. I think if I was to predict at the outcome, I'd probably say a draw. But I'd say like a 2-2 draw. And if it's a 2-2 draw, I'm expecting Patrick Bamford to score in that match.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. No. I think I'm more likely than unlikely to keep Bamford. I'm also well committed already to Liverpool, and I am questioning. I know we're all buying Liverpool assets because it's a double game week, and it's a good double game week. But by bringing in Trent, by having Salah, by captaining Salah, I'm already really going heavy on Liverpool, as most of us are. But by going Darwin as well, is that not a little bit too Liverpool heavy? Triple Liverpool long term after this game week. If we're not planning on wildcarding for a while, do you really want triple Liverpool long term? I don't think they've been playing well enough to justify that. We can all say that. So next week, okay, fair play. It's a tough fixture against Man United, and then it's Bournemouth. And then they're double game week in 29, because we don't know about 28. Liverpool in 29 play Man City and Chelsea. Do you really want triple Liverpool for that double when you could have Man United players, for example, with a much better double game week, or Chelsea players with a much better double game week? So I think for a few reasons, it makes sense for my team to hold on to Bamford. But I completely understand those saying taking another hit for Darwin. It works for a lot of teams. But I think there's also probably an equal number of people in the chat saying, with your team at the moment, Bamford works. So I think I might stick with it.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Guys, we will be moving on to questions. Are we going to skip against the obvious, I think, this week? And move on to your questions, because we've got Dean for a couple of more minutes, and then we're going to yeah, we're going to be with you till 5 o'clock. So stay tuned and get your questions in. We'll put the very best questions on screen, and in quick fire fashion, we will answer them. So do feel free to hit us with those questions. Hopefully they're ones that appeal to the masses and affect all of you. So stay tuned, because one question from referee Rick really might work for loads of you. So first one from Sini: how important is it to get Salah or Saka in? If you could get both of those players in comfortably for a -8, I would take it if you're transferring out players that aren't playing this game week. And if that -8 gets you 2 extra appearances, well, already those guys are going to get 8 points in appearance points. If they're competing with guys getting 0, they have moves that are absolutely worth it.
Yeah, good point. I like that. Also, you imagine you would captain one of them too, so you've got even more reason there to hope for the best. Referee Rick, -4 to bring in Allison for Ward and play ahead of Kepa.
Who's Kepa got? Kepa's Tottenham. Yeah.
I still don't know, to be honest. I still think I'd stick with.
Ward
I've got Ward and
good
Kepa.
combo, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Actually,
got them. They've been a really good combo because they're so cheap. When you combine that, if you bring in Allison, you're never going to play Kepa ever.
No, this is the thing. Yeah, I actually would stick with. I think Ward and Kepa is a fine combination. It's one that most players probably have at the moment. I know they're my two. It's a bit of a dilemma which one to pick every week, but I wouldn't bother with the Allison. I mean, I don't think that Liverpool are nailed on for clean sheets here by any means. Maybe against Wolves, who don't score goals, but Crystal Palace will probably score against them.
Yeah. Best Mitro replacement. If you're spending that sort of money, Ollie Watkins plays Everton this game week, and then it's Palace, West Ham. He does play in game week 28 against Bournemouth as well, and then he's got a double. So Aston Villa, and they also play in blank 32. I'd look at Aston Villa and go to Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, makes sense to me. McNeil or Iwobi for a 1 week punt. I wouldn't pick Iwobi because under the new setup at Everton, I don't think that really works for me. But McNeil, yeah. I mean, that's where I would go. I mean, he's going to deliver the most amount of balls into the box, and that's ultimately the way that Everton are going to try and score goals. So I'd go McNeil.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Set piece threat for Everton's awesome. That's why we've all bought Tarkowski. Does Mahrez start against Bournemouth? I think he does. I don't know. It's a tough one, but I think Pep's got trust issues at the moment with the likes of Foden, and I think the front three will be Mahrez, Grealish, and Haaland again.
I do too. Yeah, I think you have to believe in that at the moment. I think Mahrez does start. Yeah. This might be my last one, to be honest. Quite fitting. It's a Fulham one. Dean, do you think Solomon starts tonight? Looking to bring him in, but not sure on minutes. Yeah, I mean, my hunch is that he will. But honestly, I can't give above like a 60% certainty there because Fulham have got so many players that are capable of playing these positions. Solomon has been good as an impact player. And against Wolves, it might be that they're happy to continue with that. So it is risky, I have to admit, to bring in Solomon for this game. I'd probably be tempted to wait until he's had his first start rather than play him tonight. I don't think he's going to be like a must-have for this game week. So, yeah, I'd probably err on the side of caution there, Johnny, even though he's a great player, like I've said before, and one for the watch list. But I can't be sure that he starts this game.
Can he play up front, number 9? Like, if Mitro's out, who plays? Do you just bring in
Not Solomon? Again? I mean, I don't know if you've seen him. He's short
he's
than me.
Tiny, isn't he?
He's about 5'6", I think. So
yeah, but Messi's played false 9 before.
Yeah, he's not Messi. I mean, he's good. He ain't Messi. No, I can't see us doing that. I think we'll always still play with like Carlos Vinicius would be the guy I think would most likely play if Mitro's not fit. It would seem like too much of a risk. So. Yeah, probably not going to go that way. But yeah, I'm going to go to that match now. So thanks, everyone. Up for Fulham. And hopefully on Monday, I'm talking about a team that is on the verge of breaking into the top 4.
Mate, we look forward to getting a full debrief from you. Guys, stay tuned. I'm still staying here, but Dean's off to Fulham. Dean, we'll let you go. We'll see you Monday at 7.
Cheers, everyone. See you later.
Oh, I really hope Fulham win for Dean. They're having an awesome season, aren't they? Guys, keep your questions coming in. I'm still with you guys. So, Michael asked best mid for 7.3 or below. Oh, 7.3. I mean, have you got the Arsenal guys? I think Odegaard would be my move there. Odegaard. Chelsea settled down. Best Chelsea option is defenders or Kepa. Badiashile will play Premier League games. He's not in the Champions League squad. Reece James still a good option. Felix also a good option. They're the three. Ahmed, Patterson to Bueno for a -4. No. Oh, no, you got no money in the bank. No money in the bank's difficult, dude, because I don't think Bueno's going to start 2 fixtures. So with that in mind, I wouldn't be making a -4 for it. I would be making a -8 and create the money and go Patterson to Tarkowski and find that extra 0.4 for another player, or just don't make the transfers at all. More important info to own this game week. More important to own Tarkowski long term. This comes down to when are you wildcarding. If you think you're wildcarding soon, then Darwin, because he's more explosive. If you think you're not wildcarding for a while, having Tarkowski for the next 10 game weeks, 8 game weeks, whenever you wildcard, game week 33, is a good thing. Is a good thing. Zinchenko or Nketiah for third Arsenal player. I'd go Nketiah. Jesus isn't returning just yet. And Nketiah is so due a haul, guys. His numbers have been ridiculously good in terms of underlying numbers. He just needs to convert some of those chances. Keep your questions coming in, team. Also, I'm guessing you're all hitting the like button and you're all subscribing, right? Thank you. I can only field 6 players. Do have 2 free transfers. Should I free hit? Okay, FPL the Wyvern, you've got 6. You get to 8 with your 2 frees. Free hitting for player 9, 10, and 11. No. I would, however, take hits. Because they're not 4-point hits. This player is currently getting 0. A 4-point hit for an Arsenal, Liverpool, Everton, and Wolves player, he gets 4 points. You break even. Same again, same again. Take a 12-pointer. If they're for good players like Tarkowski or McNeil, or triple Arsenal, or triple Liverpool, take the hits. This is the game week you really can take the hits. Thoughts on going without Salah? Brave. If you're going without Salah, I'd definitely have Darwin. You've got to cover that Liverpool attack one way or another. Business end of FPL. Most important suggestions to end the season strong. Take care over your chip strategy and plan ahead. Watch this show twice a week. That's all you need to do. If you watch Chasing Green Arrows every Monday and every Friday, I promise you, Don Guna, you will be in a good position. I can't guarantee you will success. I can't guarantee you'll be really happy with how you finish, but I can guarantee valuable information. Next up, we've got a question coming in from FPL Big Ed. Additional hit, Botman to Robbo. If that's the difference between getting 11 men out, yes. If you've already got 11, not needed. Next question, Sell Kane for Darwin. Have I missed this? Yeah, Schnaps, you have. You can go back and watch it. Guys, the beauty of this stream is we finish at 5 o'clock in 2 minutes' time. And therefore, you can go back and watch the whole stream. You haven't got to go anywhere. Sell Kane for Darwin. Yes, I'd make that move. Bueno to Robertson to Felix to Darwin for -4. Can't decide. Save the points. Yeah. Like it. Like it, Mark. Like it, Mark. Thank you guys for all your questions. Keep them coming in. Mark, they are, but would they move from Napoli? They are, but why would they move from Napoli? Don't know. I'm guessing you're referring to Osimhen. Don't know. Yeah, good point. I wouldn't leave Napoli. Great stream. What's the best forward for under 7 million? How much is Ollie Watkins? He's close to that, isn't he? I can't tell you the forwards under 7 million off the top of my head, but just looking now, Watkins is 7.2. And Bomo, 5.8. No, Nketiah, 6.8. There you go. Man United and Newcastle on Sunday. Let's finish with this one. I'm going to say, I really want Newcastle to win. I think all the neutrals want Newcastle to win, don't they? So I'm going to say Newcastle are going to do it on pens. Newcastle on pens. You heard it here first. Oh, I really hope so. I've just seen in the chat, Muss wants Man United to win. Oh, Muss. I thought maybe with your your alliances towards Saudi, you'd be supporting Newcastle just this one time. No, I didn't. I knew you'd be supporting Man United. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hey, before you go, I've put a comment in the chat about my channel. If you've got a spare 15 minutes and you've already watched this show, then do check out the Gianni Battici channel on YouTube. Just type Gianni Battici into YouTube. You'll see my channel. I've done a 15-minute game week preview. And in the chat, I've put the YouTube link. So you can just click on that and take you right through. But obviously, if you're just joining now, don't go anywhere. Go back and watch this whole hour. We'll be back on Monday night at 7. We'll see you very soon. Good luck this game week. Let's go, Salah.